which was organized by the House of Design that we participated in. The House of Design also arranged that there was a workshop so we could get started by learning what you can do with it. And well, from then on, it just picked up in a very fast speed. And well, we've been making the first steps to a teacher's manual. But during this progress, like Anne also said, we have a lot of questions. So I would like to give Thijs and Kate's the floor now, so they'll tell you more about the content.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you, Ben. Okay, here we go.
Yeah. Before the start of the project, we had a few questions, expectation thoughts. And what is a 3D printer? Before the start of the project, it was very difficult to think how it works, how to think 3D, how to implement it in the education, how to create instead of copying, and how to use the machine. On much of these questions, thoughts, and expectations, we have an answer, but not at all. Ben told we had hit local and some national newspapers. We show you the articles were being written by the journalists.
It's nice to see. Well, when we get started and we were just searching for what can we do, and we with our pupils we were searching, and it was the first one, and it was really nice to see how the pupils react on, wow, this is really a 3D printer, and what can we do? So this was on the first where you were on Vlieland, and from here on the pupils were like, okay, now can we start? But they have to wait, so it was really interesting to see how they want to work with. After that we have Blockhouse Poort.
We did the exhibition organized by the House of Design. We had our own cell in the former prison of Leeuwarden. They have made a big article over it in the local newspaper.
And what's interesting to see, the pupils were explaining to everyone there what it is. So that's interesting. That was the older people were saying, wow. And the pupils were explaining, well, you have to think back, Tinkercad, work there. So that's interesting. And for us it's interesting also that we have pupils from the primary school and the secondary school together. So that's also an interesting part. So that were the articles.
Yeah, and maybe it's nice to tell we have built our own website. It's called www.3dflee.com. And we fill the site with our own experience the next months.
Well, the workshop we did on with House of Design, we were in the Leeuwarden, and we worked with the Doodle, Tinkercad, Blender, and Cura. We were taught by some pupils from House of Design, and so we learned how to work with. And we learn about which machine, the Ultimate 1 and 2, and how to connect the printer and how to put in the filaments. So we were taught that day how to work with.
Yeah, all the basic functions of working with the 3D printer.
After the workshop, then we got learning.
Thijs, wait a moment. Maybe is this the moment to thank Ben before arranging a very huge car?
Yeah, it was for us the start of getting work with the 3D printer. That day we took the 3D printer to the island, and Ben arranged a very big car because it was a very big computer. So we decided that I go in the back, so the printer can get in the car.
Yeah, they got the job done, so they moved down.
Thank you, Ben. Well,
Yeah, the first part of
design in the classroom. Well, in the primary school, of course, you can better tell me.
Yeah. In the primary school, we start with Doodle 3D. It's very basic software to show the children how the printer is working. You can shapes by drawing on an iPad or something like that, and printed you will print that. The next level is working with Tinkercad, as Anna told also. There are a few basic shapes, and children design some furniture for something like a theater or a house or some robots. And then the next level,
Well, but
ties at school.
we did the same. We made the same lessons. So we just want to teach them from 2D to 3D thinking and working. So we use this software, and some of my pupils in secondary school use Blender also. They were really fast working. So Tinkercad is easy and nice to work with. And then they say, well, what can I do more? Then they say, well, you want that advanced, then you can get Blender. So
Yeah.
we will explain that.
Maybe it's nice to tell that we need the whole afternoon to learn how to shape a wine glass in Blender, in the Blender software. And I explained it to a pupil from 11 years old, and 10 minutes later he came and he showed me the wine glass he has designed in the Blender software.
So we... Hi, bye. What we also teach the children is how to work with the printer. Because they were standing here, but what types of materials can we use? And how do you get it in? So it's really interesting to see how quickly they use the printer by themselves. Also using, when you can use it by a computer or by a card, and you have to know that you can better print by a 40% speed than by 100% speed. When you say it once, after that everyone will start at 40% speed. That was really interesting. That was our presentation. Now a little impression of how I work with the pupils of the secondary school. I'll be ready. Zeker. Wow. It's just an impression. We made a video also about 8 minutes, but it's a short impression. That's okay. Here you can see the different types of material before you get to 3D. So first they draw, here they use clay, and after that they print it and use the ultimate.
Yeah, the next step in the process is that we have developed a curriculum. The most difficult is to learn children to think from 2D to 3D. To activate that, we have let them make 6 drawings from different perspectives from a room, of a theater in this case. Then they have to decide from 2D to 3D in an old shoebox with material like fabrics, clay, cardboard, and something more. When the shoebox is finished, they have to build it up in the Tinkercad software, and then they can print it.
In the secondary school, I use not the box. So I just use the clay, and then we go much quicker to the lessons of introduction. What's interesting to see is that children teach children. So that's really interesting in this developing. And what most interesting is we are the 5 teachers of this project, but we have our colleagues who are really interested, but we can't teach them. The children need to teach the teachers. And that's really interesting also.
And what you see is that the children teaching adults. Maybe a nice example to tell is when we were in the former prison in Leeuwarden, the parents of Eileen visit our cell in the prison. And I think
I took them out again. Don't worry.
Eileen have to come 10 or 11 times to the cell to get her parents out of the cell because they're so interested in the whole project.
Yeah, the situation was really turned around because usually I was the one when I was a child with my nose somewhere and say, oh come on Eileen, come on. Yeah, yeah, in a minute, and I was, come on Dad. Yeah, yeah, in a minute.
Questions? We have a lot, but that's okay. That's very good in this way. And after, I hope, 3 days, we have more questions. But what's interesting is how to continue and how to publish with each other, how to combine commerce and education. And we made this a teacher's manual, and now we'd like to Jan.
Yeah. So I can say with pride and pleasure we present the start of the teacher's manual. It's still under construction, and we decided on putting it in the form of an e-book, not on paper. We thought it was suiting for the project and maybe a nice way to work for the future. We thought then right away, how can we distribute that? How can we publish that? So we want to do it like this. And this is the first example. This one is already prepared. We have one for every school. This one thing, the e-reader has to be initiated with our email address and password. And I, for one, I would like it when I got an e-reader with someone else's email address on it. So we're going to ask you to initiate the machine, and then you put the files on. So that can happen later on. Yeah, once again, the teacher's manual was a joint effort of both schools. It's still under construction, so we're asking you to please send your feedback. You can do that through the website. We can talk about that later on.
Okay. Thank you, Jan. Well, I don't know if this is a very historic moment or not. Could be, because it's so new what we're doing, and a lot of things are happening. And like Anne said, you don't know what direction it's going to go. It could maybe at May 2015 the project stops, and who knows, 3D printers are maybe for sale at Walmart's, and there are manuals and there are apps, and it's in the App Store, and we can say, yes, we were there in the beginning and it's taken off, but it could also be that it's going to start here, and together, and with working together, and seeing where we can combine commerce and other ways of funding, we can maybe make something very big of it, and that we can become the owner